Money. As a business owner, there never seems to be enough of it around when you need it. That is, unless you live in a country that aggressively prints and distributes money through its central banking system to help assist business owners in a time of need. In a country like the United States, receiving a business loan can be a fairly easy practice, as long as you have the credit or collateral to back that loan. Here in the United States, we live in a country that believes in a banking system that revolves around the philosophy, what's mine is yours. What is meant by this is that when one person puts money into their banking account, it gets redistributed to someone else in order to help the economic cycle. Because of this, the ability for a business to receive a loan is a fairly common practice. But what happens when you own a business in a country controlled by a government that aggressively controls the redistribution of money, like the good people of China? You turn to a system known as shadow banking. No, it's not like taking a loan from the mob or the Chinese mafia, but rather a method of redistributing money to small businesses, industries, and governments secondary to the traditional financial system. Over the next few minutes, we will take a deeper look into what shadow banking is, how shadow banking works, and discuss the role of shadow banking in the Chinese economy. To get a better understanding of how shadow banking influences the Chinese economy, first an explanation of what shadow banking is should be discussed. According to professor and economist Perry Marlin from Barnard College, the shadow banking system was first developed as a system alongside the traditional banking system to eliminate interest rate risks and credit risks from the traditional banking system balance sheets. Shadow banking is a common practice. However, in the country of China, the shadow banking system plays a large role in the overall success and/or failure of the country's economy due to the tight restrictions of the government keeps on the traditional banking system. Part of these restrictions include limiting a bank's redistribution to certain industries, small governments, or manufacturers. To make financing accessible to these areas of the economy that would otherwise go unfinanced, the traditional banking system and even some pseudo-banks are lending money to finance projects for these specific sectors and organizations. Because the country's government keeps tight restrictions on the amount of interest that can be earned on bank deposits, investors look to make money in other areas, one of which is the shadow banking system. Investors pool together money into investments referred to as WMPs, or wealth management products. These are essentially trust funds or mutual funds. However, unlike the trust funds and mutual funds here in the United States, in China, with the WMPs, the investors have little to no idea where the money is being redistributed. WMPs are sold off the books. Therefore, there is little transparency about where the money is going and what the finances are used for. All the investor knows is that there is a greater chance and a better potential of return on investment than had they deposited the money into the traditional banking system. Imagine being a small business owner and having no way of being able to finance your business. This is exactly what happened, according to a Guangzhou businessman named Wang Feng. Guangzhou is a small coastal city located near the border of Taiwan, and the Chinese government has been reluctant to invest in the geographically challenged area due to the fear that it could be destroyed by the Taiwan government. For Feng, the only way to finance his business was to create his own shadow banking system. He began manufacturing lighters by collecting interest-free loans from some family and friends. Soon, the small group of investors had pulled together enough money to be able to loan out that money to other families and friends. Eventually, the system grew so large that the loans were soon being distributed to other families and friends outside of the initial circle that was from the initial investors, thus creating a system of shadow banking in the small town of Guangzhou. This system of shadow banking allowed the small town of Wenzhou to flourish when the Chinese government wished to invest little to no money into it. Success stories like Wang Feng's do not just occur in areas of China located near the border of other countries, but events like this occur all over the country and in turn make the shadow banking system a vital part of the Chinese economy. Not only does the shadow banking system finance independent businesses, but as witness to the city of Wenzhou, it can play a vital role in financing the entire community. The loans made through the shadow banking system and WMPs are also used to finance housing projects, build bridges, and repair roads. However, with every upside, there is a potential downside. What happens when there becomes little cash flow to pay off the short-term WMPs because the cash flow is tied up into long-term WMPs? In order to do this, the bank has resorted to creating more short-term WMPs. In order to do this, the bank has to take money from more investors. So the initial investors' monies was done here. And this money was then redistributed to other governments and manufacturers. But now, what happens when the person that put their money in here wants to take their money back out? Well, in order to do this, because there's no money available, the banks then have to create more WMPs, thus bringing in more investors to pay off the investor that put his money into here, then transferring their money here, and then creating a vicious cycle. Basically what's being done is they're creating a Ponzi scheme, bringing money in from one investor to pay the other investor. Now that we have taken a better look into the practice of shadow banking and have a better understanding of how the process works and the role it plays in the Chinese economy, I encourage you all to think about the non-traditional banking system and form your own opinion about whether or not the non-traditional system, known as shadow banking, is really that positive a system for the Chinese economy, or whether or not the Chinese government should take tighter restrictions on WMPs. I would also encourage you to consider whether or not, if you are a business owner, if you would purchase WMPs, or whether or not you would be afraid of getting tied into a Ponzi scheme yourself. Thank you.